Welcome to the Gentle Ledger. It is Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 in U.S. market time. Today felt like a conversation where the news was good, and somehow that made everyone pause before reacting. Now, let's turn softly to the U.S. indexes where markets barely moved but subtly adjusted their posture. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 50,121.40, down 0.13%. The S&P 500 finished at 6,941.47, essentially unchanged. The Nasdaq Composite eased to 23,066.47, down 0.16%. And the Russell 2000 slipped to 2,669.47, lower by about 0.38%. At first glance, the session looked uneventful, but underneath it was a small shift in expectations. Strong economic data reassured investors about growth and corporate demand, yet at the same time suggested interest rates may remain elevated a little longer than markets had hoped. So instead of rallying, equities settled. The market didn't reject the news, it recalibrated around it. Gently moving into the corporate highlights, individual companies spoke more clearly than the indexes themselves. Generac surged plus 17.9% after upbeat results and guidance, one of the day's most decisive moves. Smurfit Westrock jumped plus 9.9%, reflecting optimism around demand stability and improved outlook. Industrial strength showed through as Caterpillar climbed plus 4.4%. A reminder that economic resilience still supports heavy equipment and infrastructure demand. Meanwhile, steadier names quietly found favor. ExxonMobil added plus 2.6% as oil prices edged higher. Verizon gained plus 3.3%, and Coca-Cola rose plus 2.3%. Both reflecting the market's occasional preference for dependable cash flows when macro conditions feel uncertain but not alarming. On the other side, expectations were trimmed quickly where confidence weakened. Robinhood fell minus 8.9% after disappointing revenue guidance, and Moderna dropped minus 3.5% following regulatory setbacks. Even smaller moves carried meaning. Kraft Heinz edged up about plus 0.4%, another sign that reliability rather than rapid growth briefly held the market's attention. Taken together, corporate performance today felt selective. Investors were not abandoning risk, they were sorting it, rewarding clarity, hesitating on uncertainty, and rotating gently towards steadier ground. Overseas in Asia and Europe, the mood carried across gently. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose roughly plus 2.3%, extending its constructive tone, while European markets traded mixed but steady, absorbing the same macro signals without urgency. The global message was consistent. Growth is intact, but expectations are being fine-tuned. In commodities and bonds, the story shifted toward patience. Gold climbed near $5,074 per ounce, and Brent crude hovered around $69, both modestly higher. Meanwhile, the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield held near 4.17%, reinforcing the idea that easier financial conditions may arrive gradually rather than quickly. The bond market, more than equities, seemed to absorb the implications of stronger data. Turning now to the newer corners of finance, in crypto land sentiment softened alongside interest rate expectations. Bitcoin traded near $66,800, down roughly 3%, while Ethereum hovered around $1,960. Digital assets moved less like speculative outliers and more like sensitive indicators of liquidity, reacting first when the timeline for lower rates stretches out. As the day settles into evening, today wasn't a setback. It was a quiet adjustment. The economy looked firm, companies remained active, and investors simply recalculated how long the current conditions might last. Sometimes markets don't move because nothing happened, and sometimes they don't move because everything was understood. Tonight, let the steadiness carry you into rest, attentive, balanced, and calm. Good night.